But one time, Steve was on one of those rages, and he put a gun to my head and said, Debra, if you're so upset with me, why don't you pull the trigger? And I'm like, Steve, calm down, take your finger off the trigger. I mean, who's to say that that second couldn't have been, and I would have been dead.
In the wrestling business, I always like being the heel or the villain because seemingly you just had more freedom, more creative liberty to push the envelope.
Is everything okay with you and your ex-wife?
Oh, everything that I know of. Yeah, I did that.
After probably pissing off most of Canada with regards to my previous video about Bret the Hitman Hart's constant bitching and moaning, as well as pointing out that he does come across as a bit of a hypocrite.
It is one thing to be injured in the ring in a wrestling match. I mean, it happens. I mean, I got a concussion from Bill Goldberg, and I certainly don't have any animosity towards him. And
my apologies, Canada. Today we're going to look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But unfortunately, he had a bit of a dark side when it came to his personal relationships.
And being married to Steve Austin, he was always nice too, until he would go into the steroid rage that would last, you know, for hours or days or whatever, you know, with being paranoid and all that.
Steve Austin's been married 4 times, but it was his second marriage on September 13th, 2000 to wrestling manager Debra Marshall that started to get attention for all the wrong reasons, and pretty soon things started to go pear-shaped.
I remember the first time he hit me was in the hotel room. He actually slapped me and then he threw me across the room.
Wow.
So then I had bruises on my face and I had to cover them up on TV, and then I had to go to the doctor when I got home. I thought my collarbone was broken. It was more, he wanted me to do something intimate, and I was like, I'm tired, and that's what he got mad about.
Debra went on to say that Steve Austin was always remorseful afterwards, and that is one of the reasons why she stayed in the relationship for as long as she did.
He would always say he was sorry afterwards, which is one of the signs that keeps you in the cycle. Because then you're like, oh, he's so sweet. I know it sounds crazy for a woman that's never experienced, and me of all people, I'm such a strong person, but it just keeps you pulled in there.
Marriage counseling also seemed to do nothing for them.
We did go to therapy. Because I thought, this is, you know, we're falling apart here, and, you know, this is really getting to where I could really get, I mean, it was really getting really bad. And I remember I went to a marriage counselor, and he was like, yeah, I'll hit her. This was after the first time he hit me. And then she got on to him, and he wouldn't go back anymore.
Now, steroids was pretty prevalent in the WWE in those days, and I mean, guys like Batista and John Cena, all these guys use steroids. John Cena has said in interviews that he's never used steroids at all. That is complete bullshit.
You never juiced? Were you able to get that way on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. I started working out when I was 12 years old.
And according to Debra, one of the reasons why her marriage to Stone Cold failed was because Stone Cold was an avid steroid user, and he would often, you know, that mixed with alcohol often ended badly.
He did take too many steroids. He was too much on that. And then you're mixing that with alcohol. That whole thing is what I've learned with, you know, Safe House. That's a whole mixture of craziness.
One minute he would be moody and he'd be paranoid and he would have panic attacks, and then he got me to where I really couldn't talk to my family. I really couldn't talk to my friends. He was very controlling. And then these rages, if I did something to upset him, then the rage would come out, and usually it was mixed in with alcohol too.
It has also been reported that Stone Cold was extremely possessive as well as jealous when it came to Debra. And in one instance, they were cutting a promo for the WWE backstage close to the shower area. And unbeknownst to them or to Raven was actually having a shower while the promo cutting was taking place, only to basically come out of the shower wearing only his towel. And this apparently enraged Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Austin got mad because he thought, you know, he didn't realize I was in the shower before they came in. You know, and he's always under tons of pressure, you know what I mean? You know, he's got to run the company, he's on his back, you know what I mean? And I hadn't seen him in years. You know, we used to ride together back in WCW. Me, him, and Pillman used to ride together. So, but he hadn't seen me in a couple of years now. And then I come walking out into town, and they're shooting a scene, and Debra's with him, and I'm like, and he's like, oh, and so he doesn't know what to think. So he pulls me aside, you know, says some stuff. I was like, all right, sorry about that. And then I talked to him during the week and it was cool.
Now, it must be remembered that Stone Cold Steve Austin was massive during the Attitude Era.
Just then take a firm hold on it a little bit, yeah, about like that. So
I like that, and you go like what?
Right.
And according to Debra, this put her in a very difficult situation with regards to their personal problems because he was so beloved.
He would almost laugh about it a little bit. Like, I don't think he realized the rage that was in him. And it was hard for me because, you know, people love him. You know, he's a great entertainer, great wrestler, great. But, you know, just with his personal life wasn't too good.
Debra has also stated in interviews with Fox News that she couldn't report the abuse to the WWE because Stone Cold, again, was the biggest star at the time, and that's pretty much all that they cared about.
You can't really tell anybody because you're in the wrestling world, and it's just not acceptable to go and say your husband's, it's just not acceptable. And you just keep thinking things are going to get better.
As big as Stone Cold was back then, one has to wonder how would this have played out in today's modern society with, you know, cancel culture, things like the Me Too movement, the internet, social media, etc., etc. Would his career have been unaffected, or, you know, would he have been completely cancelled? And basically, would his career have been as big as it was back then?
I told him, I said, if you hit me one more time, that's it. And I'm a woman of my word, and I was like, you know, I love this man to death. I love him so much, and he hit me that. So when that happened, boy, I knew I was going to lose my job. I knew it was going to be everywhere. And when I made that phone call, you know, he left the house, and the police came within 5 minutes, and I knew then it was so embarrassing.
Because Austin had left the house by the time the police got there, the district attorney's office had issued an arrest warrant, which basically resulted in Austin turning himself in the next day, where he was charged with domestic abuse.
So he got a year probation, and he had to do anger management classes and pay a fine and do community service.
Austin stated in 2003 that he does have regrets with regards to his relationship not working out with Debra, but that the incidents reported were not alcohol related.
The last time he hit me was really pretty violent. You know, he did a backhand on me, and then he was pounding me in my head. So that was I can understand how women feel when you know you're gonna die, because I thought my head was gonna like explode.
Steve Austin then started dating actress Tess Broussard, and things seemed to be all sunshine and roses in the beginning.
It was awesome meeting him in the beginning because he was just like a charmer. He wooed me. He just adorned me with flowers and cards and telephone calls and bombarded me with them. I kind of like that kind of guy, you know, who chases after a woman.
But pretty soon, Stone Cold's possessive, controlling side started to make inroads into their relationship.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch BET because he called me an N-lover. He didn't want me to watch anything that had anything to do with HBO, Cinemax, Showtime. None of that, because he just wouldn't let me watch it because I've done some stuff on HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime. I'm kind of like in my past before I met him, I was B-movie queen.
She goes on to talk about a serious automobile accident involving her and Steve Austin, which came about because Steve was apparently drunk.
Oh, okay. Well, we were riding around the neighborhood one night, and Steve ran into. He hit a tree, and he told the truck. The hit was so. I don't really remember it because I was knocked out unconscious. But when I was at the hospital, I woke up, and the doctor said that I may never be able to walk again. So that was just. I was pretty shocked, and because I'm a pretty active person, and I'm pretty athletic, and I had my third and fourth metatarsals. They were all pretty much disintegrated. So I have a rod with 12 screws in my foot, holding my foot together.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was in a wheelchair for about 3 months and crutches for probably about 5 months.
According to a police report, another incident occurred in March of 2004 when Austin was accused of assaulting Broussard at his home in San Antonio, Texas. However, no charges were filed. Now, when all said and done, Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of the greatest stars ever produced by the WWE. However, again, posing the question, would he have had the same success had these accusations and incidents, etc., happened in modern day society with things like internet, social media, cancel culture, the Me Too movement, you name it? How would it have impacted his career today, and would he be the household name that he is today? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and if it's your first time on this channel, welcome, and check out some of the other videos that I have on this channel.